gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, in school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jenquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe. Hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jenquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga Jenquavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your pocket.
Y'all get me with this shit.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take over
What
your
more
store.
do you want from me?
More as well about yesterday's horrific crash in the St. Roch neighborhood, including the name of the young woman who was killed. 21-year-old Anastasia Ray Rayborn was killed after police say 31-year-old Anthony Cooper ran her over with a car. Her sister says Cooper was her boyfriend. At 6 p.m., Anastasia's family speaks with WWL Louisiana's Eleanor Tabone about the little sister. They just more as well about yesterday's horrific crash in the St. Roch neighborhood, including the name of the young woman who was killed. 21-year-old Anastasia Ray Rayborn was killed after police say 31-year-old Anthony Cooper ran her over with a car. Her sister says Cooper was her boyfriend. At 6 p.m., Anastasia's family speaks with WWL Louisiana's Eleanor Tabone about the little sister they just lost. New Orleans police are investigating the homicide of a woman tonight where the weapon was a man in a car. It happened right behind the St. Roch Market near the intersection of St. Roch Avenue and Murray Street. Meg Ferris was at the scene as it unfolded. We join her there live now with the very latest. Meg?
Well, that's right, Katie. This call originally came in as a wreck and a fatality of a pedestrian around 11 o'clock this morning.
Wow, so we have a situation where it's a domestic violence situation. The man is dating a woman and runs her over. Now, this is obviously extremely tragic, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. But it's just really scary nowadays, especially when you are dating, because you never know who you're really dealing with.
Right here after a car crashed into this building you see behind me that has since been boarded up. But when NOPD got to the scene here at Murray and St. Roch, they changed their investigation to a homicide. And what happened has eyewitnesses upset.
It's just all sad, very sad. You don't know what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning.
This woman who lives in the building that was hit is still very upset and shaken from what she heard and later saw in detail on her surveillance camera.
It's just really loud and didn't know what happened.
But when she looked at the playback of the security camera, she could clearly see the moment the tragic incident happened.
Oh, it's something to see.
You see the woman.
And the fact that they have this on film is even more upsetting, I'm sure, for the family, because you see the brutality of a crime like this, to run over somebody that you were supposed to love and protect and provide for and take care of.
And losing her life. He just drove over her right through that.
Her video was turned over to NOPD and not shared publicly. She says it shows a man and a woman in the silver car in a long argument, and then the woman gets out of the car.
And then she walks to the sidewalk this way, and he just goes right at it.
The business owner across the street shared this security camera video of the silver car driving up and stopping, but the crash is out of camera range. He ran outside after the crash and saw the driver trying to climb out of the wreckage.
He was frantic, trying to get in and out, and the car was kind of, he couldn't really open the doors to the car because it was wedged in there. So he was kind of hopping around, just all frantic.
The woman says NOPD was on the scene fast and arrested the man who was driving the car.
John, did you see the police arrest the man?
Yes.
How did that happen? Was there any resistance?
None. No, he didn't. He got cuffed and taken away pretty quick.
So obviously by now we don't have a description of the individual who has done this, but guys, unfortunately, I'm here to tell you it was a super gremlin on Demon Time. And once we get into more of the details of what happened, you're really going to see the wickedness that needs to be exposed and that needs to be confronted, because this is an issue that we've been talking about for the longest, and it's IR crimes, or interracial crimes. And this is another example. And it really resonates with all people because there's so many different angles you can go at this conversation with. But I will let you guys figure that out in the chat. It's just tough covering these stories because obviously we want and are praying and are hoping for different outcomes, but it just seems like these guys, they're just ready to crash out.
Quickly.
No resistance, no yelling any words or anything?
No.
NOPD is calling this a homicide, but have no further details while the investigation is ongoing. And Katie, we have not yet been told who the woman is who lost her life here today. And also, police have not told us if that man that they took into custody, if he's been booked with anything at this time. But we will keep bringing you updates on WWLTV.com and on later newscasts. Reporting live from the St. Rock area, Meg Farris, WWL, Louisiana.
Tonight, NOPD is connecting the dots in an investigation that started out as a traffic fatality, but it quickly turned into a homicide. The scene unfolded with a woman struck and killed in the St. Rock neighborhood this morning.
Police say the man behind the wheel was taken into police custody. WDSU reporter Shay O'Connor live from the St. Rock neighborhood at St. Rock and Murray with what witnesses saw and heard. Shay?
Such a terrible situation. Witnesses in this area tell me that they actually saw the woman and man talking at a nearby coffee shop in this area earlier this morning when they began to argue, and then things escalated.
Decided to leave, and they got in the car and they were still arguing. And then she got out the car, and then a man decided it's time to take her out and drove right into the building.
The horrific scene, shocking.
And he did this in broad daylight, witnesses and everything. I mean, this is horrible, y'all.
St. Rock neighbors Monday morning.
You never know who you're drinking coffee with.
And the owners of this pink building, where the gray SUV crashed into.
You don't know what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning.
The owners tell us they live upstairs and heard the very loud crash just around 11 a.m. They were not prepared to see the body of a helpless woman lying inside their building.
I thought they were just robbing the house or something. And that's why I called the police from. Then I poked out the window and the car had backed out again. So I could see it was another incident, not a robbery.
WDSU obtained this video. It shows the moments a gray SUV drives into this area of Murray. It stops and then it begins to drive. That's because witnesses say the argument lasted for a while. This man owns the bar directly across the street and says he heard the loud boom and came out to the man pacing back and forth.
He was frantic, trying to get in and out, and the car was kind of, he couldn't really open the doors to the car because it was wedged in there.
Seconds later,
I looked in and saw the woman and called for an ambulance.
officials say the woman died on scene. The man behind the wheel was arrested. At this time, we do not know the relationship between the two. And no one else was downstairs at the time of the accident. As you can see now, this area where the accident happened has been boarded up. NOPD says they are now investigating this as a homicide. And of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on the situation. Reporting live from the St. Rock area, Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into the video. All right, guys. So we have to cover this one. Man, oh man. I mean, South Carolina's on fire. This is the, I want to say this is the third video that I'm putting out coming out of South Carolina on an interracial murder. Wow. I did the shooting of Catherine Holmes, killed by the black thug Troy Marquise Gilliard in the Facebook marketplace shooting. I believe that one was out of South Carolina. Let me just double check real quick. It's so many stories, guys. So many stories. And these are real stories. This is true crime. Oh, that was Greensboro, North Carolina. Yeah, so I mean, hey, pretty much the same difference. You got North Carolina, South Carolina. But wow, the story that I have for you guys today, we're going to be talking about Thomas Glenn, who murdered. He's a 70-year-old black man who murdered a 56-year-old white woman by the name of Donna Lynn Coley. Donna Lynn Coley. Okay. So we have Thomas Glenn, the black male, 70-year-old black male murderer. I mean, this is a super OG gremlin on Demon Time. This story is absolutely insane. But guys, before I get into this story, I have to tell you about my YouTube woes. Obviously, I'm coming to you guys live again. As you can see, my numbers are being severely stifled. You know, back then, what, man, we had 3K. We had 3K subs back in the day. We were pulling 100 viewers on a live stream. Now we have damn near 10K subs. I'm 1,700 away from 10K subs, and we can't even get 10 people in the building. So that just shows how stifled YouTube is. I mean, how YouTube is stifling my channel. I mean, it's really crazy that they can do that, but hey, it is what it is. This is what we're dealing with. This is why we are at Rumble as well. But obviously, most of the people are going to come from YouTube. Then they're going to come to the Rumble. So if you want to support the channel, hit the Cash App. As you guys can see, it is on the banner down below. The Cash App, hit the PayPal. I will read all Cash Apps and PayPals during the stream immediately once you send it. So if you want to interrupt the stream with your input, then I will read the Cash App or the PayPal. Just make sure you put your YouTube name, because I don't, obviously I'm getting your real name on whatever account that you're sending from. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys the guys who are still out here rocking with me. I know people aren't getting the notifications and all that kind of stuff, and it's very difficult to find my channel now because YouTube can't really get me up out of the paint because I don't break TOS. I don't even curse in my videos. But yeah, YouTube can't get me out of the paint. And obviously I'm going to get raw and raunchy in the live stream, but they can't get me out of the paint based off of TOS. But what they can do is completely knock me out of the algorithm. So if you're interested in this type of content, and oh boy, is this content heating up. You know, if I really just, and I've already made the commitment that I'm going to cover every single interracial crime that happens in this country here on out, because it's really important, and we really need awareness. We need group acknowledgement, and we need group accountability so bad. Okay. So very crazy stuff going on out here in the community. The community is completely on fire, and, you know, essentially destroying and burning anyone in its wake. And it's upsetting. That's why I had to get the fuck up out of Hey man, I had to get the fuck up on out of the community because it was never worth it. It was too dangerous. Okay. You know, and I was in Buckhead, which didn't used to be the community, but now it's completely taken over. And all these ninjas are doing are stealing and breaking into cars and stuff like that. I mean, it's really crazy. So I had to get up on out of there, and it's wild what's going on right now in this era. It's being completely overlooked, and that's why I do this channel, because all the stories that I do are going to be completely overlooked. You're not going to see them on mainstream networks anywhere. So guys, make sure you hit that Cash App, make sure you hit that PayPal, make sure you hit that Super Trap, show some love to the channel, because it's important work that we're doing here. So let's get into the video. I've already prefaced you enough. Y'all want to know what happened. Honestly, I want to know what happened. These are live reactions that I do. I go to this, I do these live streams and I do them live. I don't know what all exactly happened in the story. I'm just you know, pretty much hypothesizing on what's going on in the community, and the rationale, the pathology, the psychology, why, when, where, how, these important questions that we need to ask ourselves when analyzing these crimes. And we all do it together, right? And you guys input, honestly, with a crowd this small. Yeah, I'm gonna read you guys chat. Scott Kelly, dude, he says this is a crazy one, very tragic. Yeah, man. Regular Degla, dapping up the black man. Yes, sir. One of my OG mods, Distant Lights. Hello, everyone. Looks like another sad story on our hands again. So there you go. Scott Kelly, outstanding story on Greensboro, North Carolina last night. So he saw that. He saw that story, and that was, oh boy. I mean, that one was a scary one, right? That one was a scary one. You're on Facebook Marketplace. You're linking up with some random ninja, and he crashes out, robs you for your wedding ring and diamond rings and all that stuff. I mean, these guys have completely lost their minds. And it's not like everything you're doing is digitally tracked. It's all there, buddy. It's all there, but they can't see past it. I don't know. I don't know what is not processing in a lot of these young ninjas' heads right now. But they're willing to crash out over anything. And if you fight back, especially, I mean, it doesn't matter. They'll shoot anybody, right? In the community, we know that. I mean, most of the stories that I've been doing are black on black crimes. But if you fight back and you are a white person, you have to win. You have to win. And unfortunately, what's happening is people are fighting back, and then they might catch a body in a dispute where it was escalating and they took fatal action and they're being imprisoned for it. we need to figure out a way to make things right. Right. I mean, that's just the reality. It's about right and wrong here. And it's a lot of he said, she said. But when we have stories like this, where you have a woman on Facebook Marketplace, an elderly woman at that, getting robbed, killed. I mean, whoa, nothing's going to happen. That's the crazy part. Nothing is going to happen. I mean, this guy going to do time, right? I mean, he might be eligible for parole too. He might be eligible for parole, but it's a lot of Facebook gangsters. The real street niggas, if y'all want to know how not to beef online, just avoid Facebook unless you're doing business or family, because the real street niggas are on Facebook Live. They're posting things like memes from 2001. I mean, it's just it's almost like they're living in the 90s, or they're living in another fucking age, or the early 2000s rather, right? Facebook didn't come in the 90s, but it's like they're in some other realm where everything is like outdated and they still on the old tech, not the new tech. But that's where you get most of your beefs going on. And then that's where you get a lot of your robberies and setting up, even the groups, the flash mob groups. You got a lot of Facebook groups doing the flash mob groups. And they're not censoring them or stifling their message. But guess what happens to channels like mine? But anyways, let's get into the story. This one is a tragic one.
3 hours, the Chester County Sheriff's Office started asking for help finding this woman. They say 56-year-old Donna Lynn Coley was last seen last Thursday morning. We're told she may have left the vehicle and started walking toward the city of Chester. She has not been seen since. If you see her or know where she may be, call the sheriff's office.
So this case started as a missing persons case, but quickly escalated. And it's super unfortunate. But these are the types of situations that we are looking at. These are the types of situations that we are trying to combat on this channel, because it's getting so bad. I mean, it's getting bad out here, y'all. Got to take a quick swig. And the thing is, there is no really mainstream narrative. There's no mainstream narrative of this actually happening, right? It's almost as if this type of stuff is completely ignored, because the mainstream media is trying to act like this just doesn't happen. But it's happening a lot. And honestly, I hate to say it, but it's seeming like it's happening every day, where you have some deranged, whacked out black person just completely offing a white person in cold blood in many cases, just like the woman. Holy crap. In this video I went live on, Bianca Ellis, the woman who murdered the 3-year-old young white toddler Julian Wood. Wow. I mean, things that are unspeakable, unimaginable, but happening right before our very eyes. And guess what? She laughed in court. She laughed in court. And I don't want to make this live stream about that topic, because I like to keep my live streams on one topic, because it's so important to deep dive into these topics. But what I will say, though, is unfortunately, you have a lot of people in the community who are feeling that way towards white people. And you can call it whatever you want. I call it, psychological operations, mindset mining, all this kind of stuff from the media. And then it's also enabling from the black community, and then individual actions and all this whole storm Also with the criminal justice system, the catch and release policies, this storm is brewing. And then you have just like the resentment from unhealed, quote unquote, unhealed wounds of slavery. And in this day and age, I think it's safe to say in general, because when you look at the comment section of these crimes, and they are rarely being reported, but when you do look at the comment section on the black side, and these types of crimes are rarely reported on the black side, but when you do look at the comment section, there is an apathy. There is not an empathy, okay? And that's a bar. There is an apathy. When you see some of these sisters who are just like cold in their assessment of these crimes, and cold not in the sense of, oh well, you know, they're just oh well. No, they're like, oh well. It's almost like they're like, well, you shouldn't have been a white bitch, or you shouldn't have been a white, you know. That's really what it's coming down to at this point. And it's a game of it almost feels like high school, except the stakes are higher because now these ninjas are completely let loose. These ninjas have been completely let loose. So a lot of times there are no repercussions, and these people will have caught previous bodies and they didn't get caught for it, so they feel like it's okay to do it again. And I mean, this is a perfect example. This story that I'm presenting to you guys is a perfect example of that.
Start off the 6 o'clock news here with some breaking developments from Chester. Deputies confirmed the body they found is a missing woman they've been searching for.
And the sheriff's office just tells us Thomas Glenn is in custody tonight. We're told Glenn has multiple convictions that date back all the way to the 1970s.
Woo! So you have a 70-year-old ninja, a career criminal who has charges dating back to the 1970s. Killed this 56-year-old white lady. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, she looks way older than 56. I'm not gonna lie. She looks like very much, you know, no disrespect, but I'm saying what the general population would consider the trailer trash, chain smoking, da 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 da. And these are the people that they're telling us have white privilege. These are the people they're telling us have white privilege. It's astonishing. But you got this 70-year-old black man with charges from the 70s. He done did 15 years in the penitentiary. He done did 15 years in the penitentiary. And in his 70s, doesn't care about life in prison. He probably feels more comfortable in prison. And I'm not saying this is why he did it, but I'm just saying this is the mindset. So it's like, shit, I'll crash out on a fixed, excuse my French, but I'm just giving you the mindset of the pathology of what is going through these guys' minds. In his mind, he's like, I'll crash out on a 56-year-old white bitch. She shouldn't have been white. That's what it's seeming like at this point. Just like that Bianca Ellis story that I did, right? And I mean, the Catherine Holmes situation, it was different because it was a robbery, but you think he would have robbed a black man like that? Like just brazen in broad daylight? Nah, you're going to set it up in a different way. But there's a complete disrespect of your fellow man. And we need to come to a place where the community can acknowledge this is going on and make it a concerted effort to end it. And that is going to take, obviously, individual work. It's going to take group work, group acknowledgement, group accountability, and then also voting differently. But that is decade, 2 decade year process that we haven't even begun yet. Imagine that. We haven't even begun fixing the community. Let's see. Distant Light says they really want to pretend like this stuff isn't happening. Yeah, they do. Scott Kelly says 74 homicides in Greensboro, North Carolina, 2023, including Sergeant Nix. Yep. M626M says 56 question mark. Yeah, she does definitely wasn't. I mean, I don't know her situation, but it doesn't look like she was aging well. I'll say that. Day says, what's happening to the big niggas BGZ? What's good? What's good? He also says out here in Oakland, there has been 4 teens killed in a 5-day period, all of whom were black. Wow. Staggering numbers here, guys. Staggering numbers here, guys. In the black community, and, you know, other media influencers. And, you know, when I say media influencers, I'm talking about the red media that Ye enlightened us upon. I mean, I'm not saying that the red media is completely behind it, but they don't help at all. And in many cases, you could say they're instigating. But that's not a topic for this stream. Beast Life over 50 says that dude has been committing crimes for as long as that woman was alive. That woman looks real bad for 56. I'm 62, and damn, man, she had a rough life. Yeah, man, there ain't no white privilege bone in this woman's body. Because, for one, she only got to live till 56 before her life was snuffed out by a career criminal, 70-year-old black male, super OG gremlin. She wasn't aging well. I'm sure she's had her internal battles, and it doesn't look like she was living lavishly. But they're trying to convince us that white people have some magical power, and it's called privilege. And it's just not true. If anything, I can make the argument or assertion that there is some black privilege in this 70-year-old super OG gremlin's history. I mean, he's been, you know, committing crimes since the 70s. So what is that? 50 years of committing crimes. Whew. I mean, and this guy, he's still out on the streets. He had an opportunity to retire a free man, but he recidivated. He chose to reoffend, and in this time in a big way. And I mean, with this type of behavior, I guarantee he was catching bodies before the early 2000s and never got caught. I mean, this guy might be on his deathbed and make some deathbed confessions about murders that he committed in his teens. Imagine that. Imagine that. Because this man has been alive for a long time. He's been alive since the 50s. This man has been getting away with all types of crimes. And with this type of track record, I would perceive that he has done this before. These men who are in and out of prisons and they're this old and they're still committing violent crimes. These dudes ain't changed, man. They've been on a murder game shit since the 60s, the 70s, where you couldn't get caught. It was highly unlikely that you would get caught unless somebody literally saw you. Somebody had to literally see you, point you out, be a credible witness, and all that. These guys are some bad dudes. And it's a shame. See this video. This video tried to get restart on me. But this is what's going on in the community, and it needs to be addressed. Day says, did you hear that they are making a documentary about St. Floyd? It's supposed to be about how he changed the world. Yeah, man. Y'all know how we feel about the George Floyd situation. And I think that was a big impetus into what we're seeing today. I mean, it's definitely something that sparked or ignited something in a vast majority of the community's brain where they just feel like it's okay to go off in open season on white people because George Floyd. It's true.
Start off the 6 o'clock news here with some breaking developments from Chester. Deputies confirmed the body they found is a missing woman they've been searching for.
And the sheriff's office just tells us Thomas Glenn is in custody tonight. We're told Glenn has multiple convictions that date back all the way to the 1970s. This afternoon, though, investigators say they found the body of Donna Coley off of Cradle Street.
And imagine that. Wow. Imagine her family has to see that this animal, this vile creature, this beast, this demonic entity dumped her in this busted up, boarded up, probably smell like cat piss. And I mean, the worst place that you want your family member to have died at, or, you know, been dropped off at. I mean, it's crazy. It's inhumane. And there will be people who will lecture you on, you know, oh, well, the system is making them do it. The system is making them do it. Bro, how is the system making a 70-year-old man, retirement age, crashing out in this way, killing an innocent woman? Make it make sense.
We're told Glenn has multiple convictions that date back all the way to the 1970s. This afternoon, though, investigators say they found the body of Donna Coley off of Cradle Street. This is an ongoing investigation. If you have any information that can help police or law enforcement in their investigation, call the Chester County Sheriff's Office.
Also,
wow. So let's get into the details, the nitty gritty. They have to have a sister covering this. Oh, man, it's crazy. Let's watch.
In the disappearance case involving a woman, sheriff's deputies tell us Donna Coley had been missing for nearly a dozen days. Her body was located off of Cradle Street. We have the area mapped out for you on your screen here. Neighbors tell us she was located in an abandoned mobile home. WBTV's Ron Lee talked with detectives this afternoon about the case and who they now have in custody.
Go look at the other side of it. It looks like H-E-double-L.
Alex Elephant is a former Chester County Council member for years dealing with the kind of blight that's the scene of the area's first homicide this year. An apparent abandoned trailer. The last images the victim may have seen.
You have a beautiful young woman that's dead, you know, because of a derelict place like this.
Oliphant says
a derelict place like this, holy shit. And I mean, y'all see it. This is, I mean, no disrespect to this man, but this is an elderly white man who most likely grew up, at least at some part in his life, in segregation, during segregation, before the Civil Rights Bill. And instead of saying she's dead because of this monster, this violent man, this repeat offender, it almost seemed like he displaced the blame and blamed it on the location. Am I hearing this right? To me, he wasn't straight up. He didn't call it how it was. He blamed it on the location. As if the dumping grounds, you know, would have made a difference in what the actions of Thomas Glenn, the 70-year-old repeat offending black man, did. Why didn't he attack that head on? That's a question that everybody should ask themselves. Now, I'm not saying he said anything crazy. I'm just saying hold this ninja accountable. But if men like this are afraid to, you know, say the reality of what's going on, then I really don't understand. There's really no argument for the systemized racial this, that, and the third. It's just not there. This is a former city council member. So he's in government. He has committed to serving the people. And he is not calling it for what it is. Very interesting. I mean, that's an interesting take from this guy, Alex Oliphant. It's because a derelict place like this. No, it's because Thomas Glenn is a fucking son of a bitch, and he crashed out and killed an innocent woman over most likely nothing. This dude's a piece of shit. That's what we need to be on. That's the type of animosity we need to have towards these situations and all these murders. It's not just this one, but this one is a big deal because it's not being covered, for one, and it is another interracial crime that we are being told doesn't happen.
Young woman that's dead, you know, because of a derelict place like this.
Oliphant says he knows the family and can't imagine the pain they're dealing with.
You know, Chester's a small town and we all grow up together.
Donna Coley has been missing for 11 days. Detectives tell us they found her car abandoned, and a joint effort between law enforcement and the community began in hopes of finding her alive. But it wasn't until Tuesday morning that she was found.
Unfortunately, that is not the result that we were looking for.
Sheriff Max Dorsey said Coley was found after detectives were led to the discovery site where the victim had been the entire time she was missing.
This investigation never stopped. It did not stop from the moment we got this information, we got this report, and it's not stopping today.
The case did garner charges against a suspect.
We have made an arrest in the murder of Miss Not Stop.
So let's keep the picture up there. This is the motherfucker who took this woman's life. Whew. I mean, 70 years old, and this is what you on, bruh? Don't you got some grandkids to take care of? Makes no sense. But if this is the mindset of the 70-year-old Black man, we're in big trouble. Our leadership, our OGs are failing us day by day. Oh, we're in huge trouble. If this is the mindset. That's why I call my channel the Black Gen Z mindset, because it really encapsulates the Black Gen Z mindset. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Garner charges against a suspect.
We have made an arrest in the murder of Miss Donna Coley.
70-year-old Thomas Glenn has been arrested and charged in the homicide. The sheriff tells us the victim and suspect did know each other and were together the night she went missing. Officials say it was an altercation that led to Coley's death. Glenn has had convictions before, serving 15 years for armed robbery back in 1975.
So 15 years for armed robbery in 1975. I mean, imagine that. Imagine that. And I'm picturing it in black and white, honestly. I'm picturing it like black and white, pixelated ass fucking existence. Nah, but seriously, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, bro. You have to surround yourself with better people. I'm not saying you can do a background check on anybody, but they're hanging out. They know each other. That's fine. But know who you're dealing with, because this guy is bad news. I mean, he was armed robbery in 1975. I'm not saying you can't come back from your mistakes, but dude, it's wild.
And another incident in 1987, serving over a year for a battery charge.
You worry about your family too, if they're going to be safe.
I found Irvin Fortune about a block away from the crime scene. Even though he says he didn't see the police when they were there, it's still rattling to the neighborhood and shaking his confidence.
You don't see it these days. People going around helping neighbors and talking to neighbors like that about what's going on. You never see that no more.
In Chester, I'm Ron Lee, WBTV, on your side.
Ron, thank you. And we're following.
That's wild, and it's a good point. If there isn't communication and organization on a mass scale, to let people know the bad apples in the neighborhood, everybody knows who the bad apples are, but it needs to be agreed upon by the group so that you can make efforts to mitigate the risk that come along with that individual in the neighborhood. And if you gotta maybe report them or do whatever you gotta do to get them up out of there, then that's what you gotta do. In the most legal form or fashion. But at some point, it just gets exhausting. If you have to look over your shoulder, you just don't want to be around that. And I think that's where a lot of people are at right now. And it's unfortunate because I think in many cases, the community was given a clean slate at some point. Let's give it a buck. An opportunity to do the right thing, but it looks like we've led ourselves astray, and you can't blame anybody but yourselves. And that's why we have to take group accountability, group acknowledgement to work to prevent these things from happening in the future. And, people saying, where are the solutions? Where are the solutions? I say it in every video. That was just a solution. Group accountability, group acknowledgement. Group acknowledgement comes first before the accountability. How can you know that you're doing wrong as a whole if you don't even acknowledge it? There are people in the Black community who are using that CDC study that, Black men are the most involved fathers in the home when they're in the home, to say that we don't have a 75% single mother rate. And then they're also saying, it's not really their single mothers. It's just because, they ain't married officially and they ain't on papers and stuff, but the man's still in the home. But then on the other hand, you ask the women, they'll say, nah, these niggas ain't shit. They deadbeats and all this stuff. So which one is it? Which one is it? The community's talking out of both sides of their neck, and it's not making sense.
After deputies arrest a man for the murder of a missing Chester woman.
Tonight, authorities say that man is Thomas Glenn, and they say he killed Donna Coley. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard has spent the evening in Chester speaking with some of those neighbors.
Tradisha, what did they have to say, especially about that scene earlier today?
Well, guys, they say they saw ambulances and fire trucks entering a neighborhood that's known to be pretty quiet. They say the news is still surprising.
The Dosters. They've lived here near Cradle Street for 35 years.
When I moved here, I knew everybody.
Sitting on this porch,
Every day, tomorrow.
admiring the peace and quiet. A scene that quickly changed after the Chester County Sheriff's Office found a dead body in the area.
That body has been. And I do want to go back to this elderly couple because this is an example of, and I've covered this in other stories, but this is another example of people seeing their communities change. People seeing their communities change. And in many cases, it's not for the better. Okay? It's for the worse, unfortunately. And that's the sad part about a lot of these situations. It was a process. Started getting worse and worse. You get your window broken in. Oh, okay. They didn't get in and take anything, so we'll just get it fixed. And then over time, you just start to see dilapidated houses not being kept up, families getting evicted, all this stuff. It adds up. And these people have been here and they've seen it from the beginning, what it was, what it's evolved to. And, I'm sure that they don't feel like they have any privilege because they've been on the same block. And most white people, you would assume, had white flight and move out and look for a better area. But no, they stuck it out. and they're here now. They're still kicking, but they've seen their community change. They've seen the involvement become lack of involvement. And, you know, they probably could tell you a lot of things about what things were, what they are now. Very interesting. You know, it'd be interesting to pick their brains, but as of now, we just have to deal with what we're dealing with now. And this is a 70-year-old repeat offender, super OG gremlin on demon time, murdering an innocent white woman, 56-year-old white woman. I mean, both of them are grandparent age, but I mean, it makes you think that this stuff is impossible, but it's not. It's real. It's crazy. And I don't know. I can't speak for it. All I can do is just analyze these stories.
They've lived here near Cradle Street for 35 years.
When I moved here, I knew everybody.
Sitting on this porch,
Every day with the world.
admiring the peace and quiet, a scene that quickly changed after the Chester County Sheriff's Office found a dead body in the area.
That body has been identified as Miss Coley. She was reported missing to our agency on May the 31st. Her vehicle was found outside of the city of Chester, abandoned.
Officials say 70-year-old Thomas Glenn had been arrested in this case and is being charged with 1 count of murder, an additional charge to his extensive criminal history.
There have been other charges and arrest convictions that he's received since then, disorderly, public nuisance.
Officials say at this time they do not believe there are any other suspects, and as they continue to investigate, neighbors like the Dosters say they're praying for better days.
I've always lived here, and I've never been scared to be here. It's changed a lot.
What do you think she means by that? Let's keep it a buck. What do you think she means by that? She means these niggas done came in and ruined the neighborhood. Unfortunately. I mean, it's dangerous in the community to even have an American flag in your front yard, and they flexing one, as you guys can see in the reflection of the screen door. But these people have seen the complete transformation of their neighborhood, and honestly, I'm surprised they haven't moved out. I'm surprised their family ain't get them out, but you know, they just feel like, hey, we ain't leaving. We ain't leaving. Shout out to Day. He says he looks homeless. And then he also says she means it done got seasoned. Yeah, they threw some goddamn Lowrys on the on the neighborhood, and everything started giving you high cholesterol and goddamn diabetes. So that's where we're at with it. And it's unfortunate that we're to this point, but something's gotta change. We gotta talk about this.
Say they're praying for better days.
I've always lived here, and I've never been scared to be here. It's changed a lot.
And here at the Chester County Sheriff's Office, they're planning to have an autopsy done tomorrow. New information they're hoping will seal the deal for those responsible. Reporting live in Chester County, Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Sounds like more to come here. Thank you, Tradisha.
Tradisha is a crazy name too, but I mean, it looks like she's doing all right with that damn name. Yeah, we're gonna look at the police broadcast as well to update us on this story. But y'all know this is what I do. This is what I do. Like the video, share the video. Please, please like the video. Comment on the video. Do whatever you got to do to get this story out there, guys. This is so deep, man. It's important. These stories matter. They paint a picture that is contrary to what we are being told. And as far as the community goes, we got to get a hold on this, man. You know, we really do. Beast Life over 50 says white flight happens for a reason. Scott Adams has some valid points. Yeah. And I'm not discounting, because there's black flight too. Every nigga that get a bag, guess what they do? They move out of the black community, because they know if you are black and you have money and you stay in the black community, you will die. Period. If you're black and you're a millionaire and you stay in the black community, they will rob you. They'll come get that up off you. Unless you're like some like kingpin or something like that. But either way, you're still going to die or get locked up. But that's the only way they're not going to actively see you as a mark. But let your ass be a software engineer and you're working remotely and you're trying to stay in the hood and be a part of the community, and you making $500,000 a year. See, you know, it's all cool when some of these broke niggas are going back to, oh yeah, I moved back to my community and I worked in my community, but you're broke, so it doesn't matter. So nobody's trying to rob you, bruh. Nobody's trying to rob you. See, this is what these activists do. What are you doing, brother? You ain't doing nothing. I moved back to my community and I'm working with the kids and I'm working with the youth and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And what you doing, brother? And it's like, okay, it really doesn't matter, bro, because you don't have anything. So it's like, okay, you're moving back in with your parents? Am I supposed to like give you kudos, bro, because you failed in life and I'm not saying if you move back in your parents, you failed in life. I don't want to do that. But I'm just saying a lot of these pro-black wokety woke guys are failures in life, and then they hop on the grift, and that is where they see success, so they double down and go full-fledged. But what's happening is you're not telling the truth. You're not being accurate. Because, you know, if you have some money, and then when they do get money, they do move out of the community. They do move out the hood. Y'all see the activists, Maishan and Tamika Mallory, they were all over the Black Lives Matter shit now. And it's almost like they're inseparable. And I think there's some tension there with their relationship, but we won't get into that. They do a podcast, and I definitely see some conflicting views and tension in their relationship. So I don't see that lasting, but they were all over the Black Lives Matter movement, and they grifted off of that shit. They made money off of the backs of black men. They became ambulance chasers. And then what happened? What happened? They moved out the hood. They don't live in the same neighborhoods they used to live in. So this was going down. Plain and simple. So, you know, black people, yeah, they're going to say that, oh, yeah, we blame y'all for white flag. But then when you switch it on them and be like, okay, well, why don't you live in the hood? And you're in the community, and now you're a doctor, or now you're a flight attendant, or now you're a pilot, or now you're this, or now you're that, something that's making money, or now you're a famous rapper. Even the famous rappers don't live in the hood. Why not? Because they know they're going to die. And I'm going to do a story on another rapper in Chicago who died. Like, what do you want from me, bro? I'm just telling the truth.
Body. They now believe a man murdered her. Thanks for joining us here at 5 o'clock. I'm Siobhan Bryan.
And I'm Jamie Bowl. Deputies have been looking for Donna Coley for more than a week now. They found her body today on Cradle Street. And right after that, they arrested a man.
WBTV's Ron Lee is live in Chester County. Ron, the sheriff broke this news just in the last hour.
That's exactly right. And as of this point, we do not have a cause or reason why this all happened in the first place. Investigators do tell us that her car was found abandoned a short distance from where we are right now, and a concentrated effort has been going on to try to find her ever since. Now, folks, take a look at your TV screens. Here's a picture of the suspect in the case. He's being identified as 7-year-old Thomas Glenn. He's also a resident here in Chester, although it's unclear what the relationship was between Coley and that suspect. Her body was found off Cradle Street. Police aren't aren't being clear at this point on what the cause of death is. Detectives describe a concentrated effort to try to find her, working in conjunction with family and other community.
Our investigators, along with agents, various agents from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, have been actively and aggressively searching for her. There have been independent community efforts by family members and friends of hers looking for her diligently.
Now, we are being told that the suspect does have prior convictions, but nothing recently. As a matter of fact, his last conviction was in 1975 for an aggravated assault and 1987 for an armed robbery. In Chester, I'm Ron Lee, WBTV, on your side.
Ron, thank you. Now to a development.
Yeah, so as we learn more details, the story doesn't get any better, honestly. But what do we know so far? We know that this man is connected to her murder. Most likely he did it. But you know, the allegedly police gonna come after me. But I mean, hell, it is what it is. Looks open and shut to me. They got the guy, and he is the guy. Okay, it is what it is. But what are we gonna do about this shit? You know, all we can do is just share the videos. It's almost like the same loop over and over and over again. These stories are gruesome. They're only getting more violent too. It's getting more crazy day by day. You know, and it's nonstop. I honestly, covering these stories, I'm just like, holy shit. You know, I can't believe this happened. I really can't believe. But then I can, because we've been doing these stories for the longest. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But let's get into the police briefing, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up here. And these are all the clips that I could find on this story. Not a heavily covered story, I will say. It's only getting picked up by local channels. You don't have any major networks covering these stories. And there's got to be somebody dedicated on the mainstream media to covering their stories. There's got to be. There has to be. It's imperative that there's at least one person who is dedicated to covering these stories on the mainstream media. Okay? And there's not. But these stories are important. Just as important as, if not more important, than when a white police officer kills a black man. Because at least in these cases, we know that these people were innocent and they didn't deserve their fate. But in many of these police shootings that they're trying to shove down our throats and make us believe that this guy was just all, you know, he was a stand-up individual and stand-up citizen and exemplary person and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, he's a street nigga. He's a thug maxed alpha simp. And he fought with the police, or he shot it out with the police, and they're trying to pad the stats and act like this is something that's happening all the time. No. What I'm covering, the stories that I do, happens all the time. Every single day. I can never run out of content. And I wish there would be one day where I could say, you know what? There's no more crime coming out of the community. I can hang it up. I can stop my channel. I can delete all my stuff. But I don't see that coming anytime soon, because it doesn't look like the community is ready to talk about this or get a hold on what's happening. And we're not even at a place of acknowledgement. So What are we going to do? All right, and for reference, this audio is going to be weird. It looks like it's only coming out of the left analog, so brace yourselves. I can't really do any mixing or live editing to make it come through stereo, which is on the right and left analog, so bear with me. If you guys really can't hear it, I will repeat some of the things he said. Just let me know in the chat.
We'll give you a couple seconds.
I think their stream is freezing, struggle streaming. Or they're letting the media get in there. Let's see if I can find a better audio of this. All right, I think I found one that's a little louder. Give me 1 second. All right. Still coming out of the left analog, but it's a little louder, so.
Sheriff of Chester County.
All right.
Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here on such a short notice. I want to introduce the people up here with me. My name is Max Dorsey. I'm the Sheriff of Chester County.
Guys, I know it's really, really low, but just let me know if you guys can hear it. Can't do much on my end to turn it up. I've got it. Oops, sorry. I've got it turned all the way up on YouTube. So,
Special Agent with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Of course, I'm the Sheriff of Chester County. This is Terry Tinker. He is the Chester County Coroner. And this is Paul Knight. He's a Special Agent with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, commonly known as SLED. For the last approximately 11 days, our community has been searching for a missing lady named Donna Coley. She was reported missing to our agency on May the 31st. Her vehicle was found outside of the city of Chester, abandoned.
Lord have mercy.
And so the family made a report to us on May the 31st that she was missing. Our investigators, along with various agents from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, have been actively and aggressively searching for her. There have been independent community efforts by family members and friends of hers looking for her diligently to no avail until this morning. Our office received information to further this investigation, and our investigators were canvassing the areas around Pinckney Road, the bypass, and they were led to a location off of Cradle Street, which is off of Pinckney Street. And they found a deceased body. That body has been identified as Miss Coley. And so unfortunately, that is not the result that we were looking for. But at that moment, we were able to notify the family and explain to them that we had located Miss Coley. In furtherance of that investigation, I want to announce today that we have made an arrest in the murder of Miss Donna Coley. That arrest has been made. We've arrested Thomas W. Glenn, age 70. He resides on Hawthorne Road in Chester. Mr. Glenn has been booked into our detention center, and he is charged with 1 count of murder. Mr. Glenn has previous convictions from 1975, an armed robbery in which he served 15 years.
Shit.
1980.
Damn. And this ninja has done 15 years in the clank. 15 years in the clank. And guys, this isn't the oh man. I mean, I have so many IR stories, bro. Interracial homicides. a very hot topic today that nobody's talking about, which, you know, is kind of an oxymoron because it's like, okay, how is it a hot topic and nobody's talking about it? I mean, it's a hot topic. People care about these stories, and they should, because they completely go against what we're being told. This is scary, y'all. You got a 70-year-old man. He did 15 years. You would think that he's over that jail stuff and he ain't never going back and he'll never want to go back. And it taught him a lesson and he learned from it. He grew from it. But no, these super OG gremlins are on demon time.
87 conviction in Chester for assault and battery, high and aggravated. He served an 18-month sentence.
Damn.
There have been other charges.
So that's 16 and a half years already.
Arrest convictions that he's received since then, disorderly, public nuisance, things like that. But nothing certainly as significant as his criminal history back in the 70s and 80s. And certainly,
so he essentially spent almost a quarter of his life in prison. And he did some very serious crimes in the 70s and 80s, did his time. You know, we thought that he was able to reassimilate into society, and it looks like he is ready to go back to prison.
certainly nothing rising to the level of this, as egregious as a murder. This is an only fluid. We are continuing to seek the public's cooperation and information. So if you have any information related to this investigation, please contact our office, 581-5131 or 385-5433. That's area code 803. Those are the two main points I wanted to bring out. But the third point is I want to talk a little bit about how difficult and just how difficult the investigation was. As many of you have seen, there's been a lot of talk on social media about where this lady is. There's been a lot of talk about what are we doing? What is law enforcement doing? Are we doing enough? Why aren't we doing this or that? And I want to make it perfectly clear. We don't put everything that we do on the internet. There are a lot of things that we put out there.
So they're getting some pushback from the public. And you know, in a situation like this, rightfully so. But it looks like they got the case sewed up. Hopefully the state prosecutors can do their job. And, you know, honestly, I think he should get the death penalty. But, you know, that's just me. But we'll see what they end up charging him with, what he ends up getting convicted with, and, you know, his sentence. You guys know I'm going to keep up with this story, and I'll give you guys updates. We always do, some way, form, or fashion. I may not make a full video on it, but what I usually do is I'll hint to it in the live stream or remind you guys about it in another premiere. But woo! Everybody take a deep breath, man. Because if you're hot, if you're angry, if you're agitated by this story, then we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat.
We are transparent as the law enforcement agency. We want to keep the community informed. We want you to know what we are doing, but to the extent that it does not interfere with a criminal investigation. This is not TV. This is not CSI that comes on once or twice a week. This is real life police work, and it requires diligence. It requires expertise. It requires hard work, and it requires good luck. And so the men and women of the agencies that are represented up here today have worked nonstop looking for Miss Coley. And this is not the result that we wanted, but it is our job to.
Yeah, and the likelihood that she was alive more than 24 hours since she went missing is very low. I mean, he probably killed her right there on the spot. So, I mean, it took them some time to find the body, but they found it. So, you know, there's that. And they got the suspect, the killer, the super OG gremlin under arrest. They didn't give a description, as Natty Witt pointed out. Perp description, height, weight, in nothing, none of that. The victim's height and weight, none of that. Maybe they're going to leave that for the media to ask, but in many cases, it does seem like these police officials, maybe it be the sheriff, superintendent, whoever is the vocal person dealing with the media, it always seems like they're leaving things out. And obviously, rightfully so, like he just covered. Okay, it's a police investigation, it's real police work, but just pivotal things like a perp description, pivotal things that don't hurt the case. They don't affect the case in a way to which they're not going to be able to do their job. So I hope the media does their job and ask those questions. Okay, what did this suspect look like? What is the description of the suspect, the victim? But we'll have to see.
Bring charges where we can to gather evidence and submit that to the prosecutor. We feel like we have a solid case on Mr. Glenn, although we have a lot of work to do. And so I cannot thank SLED, Paul Knight, his team, Lieutenant Lee Blackman, Matt Oliver, Preston Simpson. We had computer crimes involved. We had the SLED Fusion Center involved. I talk about them all the time. Of course, y'all know I have a soft spot in my heart for SLED because that's where I was born and raised, but they are some of the best. And we really appreciate their expertise and what they do for our community. The coroner, I can't say enough about this guy. He's been doing it for a long time. He's got more hair than I do, though, but he is the epitome of a public servant, and I'm proud to have him as a partner. He and his office have been over backwards from the moment we called him this morning, and they are going to great extents to make sure that all evidence is secured. There's a lot that his office has to do going forward. There's an autopsy scheduled for tomorrow, and so he and his office will be taking care of that. But I also want to brag about the Chester Sheriff's Office, the professionals that have been a part of this investigation from day one, from the patrol officers that got the information initially, the investigators that it was passed on to. Ladies and gentlemen, we have investigators that have worked this constantly, day and night, since we got this report. And regardless of what has been said in our community, regardless of what's been said on social media about what's the sheriff's office doing, well, even though we don't talk about it, we've been doing a lot. And this is the result of what happens when you just continue to do your job, just like these men and women do every day. So I want to thank those men and women that did that and that got us here today. Certainly, Captain Crawford is the division commander. Lieutenant Wade Young is the department supervisor. Sergeant Chris Fowler is the department's direct supervisor. Dale Johnson, David Moore. Dale Johnson was the case agent on this, and he and Agent Knight, they're the ones, they're the boots on the ground. They're the ones that really put this together and got us to where we are today. So, I want to emphasize social media is very helpful. It's been helpful to our agency, not just in this case, but in a number of cases. It keeps that word out there. It keeps the attention where it needs to be.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. Get the word out there. Keep the attention where it needs to be. And that's really what it's about, highlighting these crimes and saying, hey, look over here. This is real. This needs to be addressed. It has to stop. And there's something that we can do about it if we're willing to act. And that's what it's about. So, I like a lot of the things that he's saying. Interested to see if they take questions from the media. Let's keep going.
But sometimes there's some bad consequences that come with that. And although sometimes we don't like to believe it, everything that's on the internet's not true. And so I would caution our community, I'd caution America to understand the ramifications of putting false information on social media and understanding how that could affect a criminal investigation.
So I wonder what false information he is speaking about. Because you guys know how I do. We're verifying. But yeah, I think that it's important to point out when information is false, when it's not, whatever. But getting the word out there is very important. Obviously, there can be irresponsible people who are putting out false information. But it seems like they got their guy. They got it sewed up. Hopefully, there weren't any accomplices. There's still a lot of work to be done to close this case. But yeah, I'd be interested to know.
Because in the law enforcement world, we have to work on facts. We can't work on innuendo. We can't pursue things based on rumor. We have to have facts, and our job is to gather those facts and present them in a way to our prosecutor who can present that to a jury. And then we've got to get an agreement by 12 members of our community to believe that it happened beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a high threshold. That's a high standard. And so that requires a lot of work by our men and women. So I would, that's one point that I would make. I'll ask the coroner, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Tomorrow we'll have an autopsy at 3:30. And what we want to do is make sure that we seal the deal for the sheriff's department and make sure that Mr. Glenn is prosecuted the way he should be. We will get that evidence tomorrow, and then we'll pass it on to the sheriff, and hopefully we'll be able to present those 12 people and convince them that Mr. Glenn needs to be kept where he's at.
Woo! In the corner. That's the coroner coming in there. Shout out to this man. He done seen a lot of bodies, man. He's seen a lot of bodies.
This investigation never stopped. It did not stop from the moment we got this information, we got this report, and it's not stopping today. So we've got a lot more to do. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I may be able to answer. Mr. Glenn was, I'll say it almost, he was arrested after the body was found, but it was a very close time. Good hard work by our investigators. I'll say that they knew one another.
So the media asking questions, let me run it back.
Good hard work by our investigators. I'll say it almost,
Sorry.
And it's not stopping today. So this investigation never stopped. It did not stop from the moment we got this information, we got this report, and it's not stopping today. So we've got a lot more to do. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I may be able to answer.
So was Mr. Glenn arrested before or after the discovery of the body?
Mr. Glenn was, I'll say it almost, he was arrested after the body was found.
He was arrested after the body was found. There you go.
But it was a very close time. Good hard work by our investigators.
I didn't hear that last question. What did he say?
It was found, but it was a very close time.
Okay. Can you say what agents? Maybe he said who arrested him or so. I couldn't really hear.
Good hard work by our investigators. I'll say that
She asked for a motive.
they knew one another, and they were together the night that she became missing, which was May the 30th. They were together, they knew one another, and some altercation occurred that led to her death. I'll have to get you that information.
She was 56.
He is 70 years old.
He's 70 years old. She's 56. So he's 14 years older than her. Wow.
Mr. Glenn, 70 years old. 70, yes, sir. That's something that we're going to wait on the...
So he asked, what's the cause of death? Obviously, they haven't done the autopsy. They're doing the autopsy tomorrow, so they're going to get the cause of death.
Medical examiner in the coroner to determine. Our evidence indicates that she's been there since that evening, the night or the early morning hours of May the 30th.
So, yeah, like I said, he killed her, right then and there. It wasn't like it was a kidnapping and he's holding her somewhere. Very sad.
We've not gotten anything from those neighbors. Yes, but it wasn't to that area. They got a tip this morning. They were kind of in the general vicinity, but they continued kind of in that area in more detail, and it led them to this location.
So they got a tip that led to the discovery of the body.
We did not.
No dogs.
That man and that investigator, yes. It was inside of an abandoned trailer.
Autopsy tomorrow at 3:30. Get results or we're sending the body off?
We'll get the results. We start the autopsy tomorrow at 3:30.
About 11 or 12, around 11 or 12.
They were together the night she went missing. You know, if they were at a bar or anything, or at town.
They were
That was a whack question.
in that area of Pinckney Street, the bypass, Cradle Street. Yeah, with as the crow flies, that's probably a half a mile. We're just wanting to make sure we've got all the evidence. We want to firm it all up. We do not think there are any other suspects, but again, we want to be open-minded and objective. Cradle Street. I don't have the numerics. Yeah, we would not release the numerics of that. It's been our practice to just release the street.
This proceeding is a missing persons case until the body is found.
Yes and no. We approach this as a missing persons case, but you work it as if it's a crime, if it's a murder. So all those techniques and all the things that you do, from the get-go, we did not have any evidence that it was a crime, but you still work it like it's a crime. Yes. Not that I'm aware of, no.
How long Glenn was out of jail?
So how long was he out of jail before this incident?
Like I said, he's had an extensive criminal record dating back to 1975.
Yeah, Natty Witt is making some good points. He says, was there a crack house, fentanyl, sexual assault, anything? Yeah, these are the questions that need to be asked. I don't know what the hell these reporters doing.
Criminal histories are difficult to read sometimes. I would encourage the media to maybe get a sled check on him, and you may be able to decipher some things from that better, because it's quite confusing. I will say he had a significant criminal history. He has Mr. Glenn has a significant criminal history. No. So because he's charged with a capital offense, his bond hearing will have to be held in front of a circuit judge. There will be some preliminary hearing, I believe, that's held in front of a magistrate, but that's essentially just to advise him of his rights, and he'll have to be waived up to the General Sessions Court. That will be coordinated through the solicitor's office.
If you can tell me off the top of your head, I don't know if Wanda has this information either. How many missing persons you guys have on the year and how many homicides?
So she asked how many missing persons and how many homicides so far this year.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. I'm sorry. I did not.
All right. So this is out of Chester, South Carolina. Chester County, South Carolina. Very, very sad, but interesting story. We got all of the details, all the nitty gritty. We know what happened now, but we're still waiting for more details. We want to know the cause of death. Was it blunt force trauma? Did he, use a firearm or a knife or something? Wow. Yeah. Shout out to Natty Witt. A fucking tragedy. Yeah, it is a tragedy, man. It's horrible. It's horrible what is happening. Okay. It's horrible what is happening. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, this is the environment that we've created in the community. So we've got to do better. We've got to work at group acknowledgement, group accountability. This one was a tough story to cover. It was very, very intense, very laborious, very draining. So I'm tired. I know you guys are tired, and we're all just tired of this extreme violence coming out of the Black community, not only amongst each other, but against other communities, other races. It has to stop, and we need to keep pushing politically. So that we are not subject to these woke ideologies, criminal justice reform. I mean, this guy's probably out because of criminal justice reform. I'm sure he should have got way more time than what he served, but, probably knew how to behave within them walls. But once he got up out and free, he don't know how to freaking act. So he is charged with a capital murder, eligible for the death penalty. And I believe South Carolina just legalized a firing squad. So maybe, I think they should start live streaming that mug. Hopefully we can see a live stream of this guy's firing squad. That'd be based. But anyways, let's see if we got any more comments. Natty Witt says in 2 weeks we'll know more. Problem is we already know. Yep. And it's very sad. But thanks for everybody who joined the stream, guys. Make sure you hit the Super Trap, hit the PayPal, hit the Cash App, go to the merch store, buy the merch, Trump is the Blood t-shirts. Get some t-shirts, some hoodies, whatever. Support the channel. That's the best way to do it. Copping the merch. It's value for value. I appreciate everybody who joined the stream. But it is the Black Gen Z Mindset, aka BGZM News 17, aka Janquavius Jackson. We are going to send it off to Janquavius Jackson. Take us away, guys. I appreciate the love, the support. We are fighting a beast when it comes to the algorithm, when it comes to YouTube. So support the channel financially, support the channel with a like, a comment immediately after video. That helps the algorithm, So that would be much appreciated for giving you guys this banger content. But you already know what it is. Stay safe, be careful, keep your head on a swivel, because these super gremlins are on demon time. What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Janquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Medgar Evers, and it's a very tranquil scene compared to just a couple hours ago where a drive-by shooting just took place. Excuse me, I'm getting live updates as we speak. I've just been updated to the amount of casualties from this drive-by shooting, and I'm getting reports that 2 people were actually declared deceased and 27 others were shot and injured but are in stable condition. And although we must pray for the families of the fallen, we must also praise God for the aim of the super gremlin. If you want to know more about the victims of this crime, make sure you add BGZM News 17 on Patreon at www.patreon.com/blackgenzmindset. Also, don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment on the video to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this gun violence in the streets. For more hard-hitting news coverage from the community, by the community, I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
And cut.
All right, dog. Let's get the out of here before these niggas come back.
Whoa. Yo! Ain't that nigga J?
Nah, that ain't me. That ain't me.
He just went live
That
with
ain't
that
me.
funky ass suit on.
That's that nigga. That's not me.
Hey, get that nigga.
Jenquavius
Hey,
Jackson,
jump on that
here
nigga,
live,
man.
reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Pray for me.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.